All right, let's get started. So today's guest is a subconscious reprogrammer. She provides a unique approach to shifting our minds. She incorporates the power of the body and the magic that movement has not only on the body, but on our soul. Allow me to provide you with a little background on how this episode came to be. I typically speak to our guests prior to the episode to allow us to create a framework on the topics they like to tap into, and it also allows us to get comfortable and set our intentions. Throughout the conversation, there were a couple of moments of vulnerability, which would not really be able to be authentically duplicated. And these moments would possibly allow our guest to shine and show her work live on the mic. We felt it would be valuable for the listeners to tap into this gnosis. She's the founder of Shift Your Shit, where she guides people into the shift needed to get over self imposed fears that are holding individuals from tapping into their true potential. It's a pleasure to introduce today Mariel. Welcome. So I guess we'll get right to it, right? What kind of
Perfect.
brought you into this journey?
Yeah, my own, I guess it's you call it your mess is your message, and just realizing my own mind and wanting to feel free in it led me down a journey to learning how to, I say, stepping into your power from the prison of the mind.
Yeah. What were you doing prior to this?
I was a teacher for 11 years.
Cool. Well, great.
Yeah, different grades. Elementary, middle, high. I even taught at a school with, high functioning autism and went from, core curriculum to then doing more of the mindfulness um, teachings as well. So my whole journey was still, kind of growing in that regard too.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's kind of divine, right? The way that the life brought you towards working with those individuals where you kind of
Yeah.
needed to tap out of the regular day to day and kind of tap into, I guess, your inner space, right? Because you had to, I guess, change your perspective around those children, right?
Exactly. I mean, you're getting it, like even seeing the kind of jobs and the kind of students that I continue to be around as I guess you could say awakened to my own power, right? I even recently realizing like I was, yeah, diving into those arenas of one, getting closer to my soul work of what I really was here to teach beyond normal core curriculum in the school, right? The normal systems. And then two, also the children with being around children that really had different minds. Um, so yeah, it was a whole journey of, I call it, the simulation of what my reality was shifting to.
Yeah, I find myself now realizing if I go back in time that everything kind of just happened so divine, even down to my online pseudonym that I have now.
Mhm.
Somehow life pushed me out. It wasn't like by choice, right? Life caused some
Mhm.
situations to happen within my life that allowed me to have to take a leap of faith, and slowly but surely it landed me to do this, what I'm doing now. So I guess everything's always divine. Would you say that you kind of had a similar push, or are you still doing that now?
Yeah, I think a good short answer is that I really think that even the people we connect with and why me and you are connected is that we're mirrors of each other in a journey. And of course it's gonna look different, but really it's kind of the same idea. It's like this thing bigger than us moved us in directions for us to see. I think I say the light of our own vessel of what it actually is here to do and be, because there's a lot of programmings, conditions, narratives to even work through. I can only speak for myself, but I'm assuming with you as well. Because yeah, I mean, a lot of these things, quote unquote, is the illusion of safety. Well, if I stay in this job, I have X, Y, Z, or yeah, like I get the 401k, or for me, it was like 30 years in teaching. If I hit that, I get pension, and I get it was all these conditions that you could say even fears to not actually do the things that you're meant here to do. And that's been part of my journey is to say killing my own fear and taking those leaps because that's really what my soul was craving. It wasn't craving these other things that, again, the world tells you is what happiness is or success is. It's really getting quiet and listening to that inner voice of what are you here to be and remind others. I mean, you're just a reminder to me, and me to you as we both speak about our journeys of like, yeah, I feel like this is like me hearing me.
Yeah. Do you feel though, like in a way, I guess, taking a different look at things, that in a sense, things have become a bit harder since you've transitioned to this new journey?
There's power in words and power in intention and power and energy behind what we say, do, think. And so, at times we can catch ourselves, but I wouldn't say hard. It doesn't seem to be harder. It's just um, I think everything's a choice, but I think actually the harder thing is to keep fighting. I learned what actually for me was the harder, which is playing small and just sticking to what, again, society would define. So I don't find it harder when you let soul lead. I find that it may feel harder now, but I know that there's more ease in your being when you know that you're following your soul path versus, again, other people's expectations or the world's.
I guess that the reason I say it is because in that timeline that I once was in, where I had the salary and I had the house and I had all this stuff, right? On paper, I had all this stuff. And at that point, I'm not saying that I was happy. I mean, I was content, right? But after taking the leap of faith, sometimes I look back at those days and I'm like, wow, those were like the good old days, right? You just get home and on a Friday you just plug into the TV and you just sit your ass down. And although it wasn't
Mm,
fulfilling, in a sense, it was kind of like now that I know better, right? Now that I understand the concept that everyone's a mirror and I am consciously acting on as my authentic self. But I guess knowing more brings a little more responsibility to the soul.
yeah, yeah. I mean, right. I think that again, it's kind of like that's where asking the question is that I think there are people here that are like, you know what, I want, and there's no judgment. I want the 9 to 5. I want to be able to shut off when the work is done. And yeah, come home, Netflix and chill. And again, there's moments in me I think about that. Like I remember those days that it was like, but again, I remember also, I think sometimes our mind can do that, right? Where it's like, well, that part was nice, but again, what parts were you feeling like you weren't in your, again, soul alignment, freedom, and how you define that? Because although however you want to label it, like my work is never off, right? When you're in your entrepreneurship and your own business, like I'm the embodiment of what I be and do. So there's never like an off point. But again, this is what I know I'm here to do. And that's more fulfilling than any 9 to 5 job, even if I can shut off afterward, would
Yeah, that's
fulfill me
true.
in. It's
Yeah.
just it's that fulfillment. And we all get to, again, make a choice of this lifetime. What do we want to do? Do we want to, because again, you can find good and, whatever in anything, any choice that you make.
Yeah. Where do you find that I guess your clientele, are they more tailored to the 9 to 5 life, or do you also, I guess, are in contact with those who are already kind of tapping in and just need a little push? Because I guess
Yeah.
from what I gather, your theme more is like getting out of your shit, but usually that means people that are in the day-to-day matrix, right?
It's a really good question. Again, I think it's really just one thing I think I would say that across the board is this idea of like, I'm accepting where I am, but I'm eager for more, or I'm eager to break. You're saying like, yeah, I'm intrigued by this breaking the own matrix. Like they gotta want to be more awakened, right? We're not here to do it for people, and I think that's something
Hmm.
too that it could be a conditioning program from ourselves. Like, again, only speak for myself where I wanted to like save people. And I think that also could come from childhood. I with being around people that had their own mental prisons, as much as we see that around, we want to like help people, right? We want to serve. But for me, learning in my journey that people, it's like when the students pray, the teacher appears, and knowing that we are here to be mirrors and we are here to like I don't do things for you. I help guide you home to you. And so someone's got to want to be like, I want to be guided home to who I really am at a soul level and live from that place. And so to answer your question, yeah, it's going to attract mostly, and again, I think it can of course go, draw outside the lines, but mostly those that like want to be, if they're in soul alignment, that might lead them or already have led them, depending, to their own business, right? Or to life looking differently than the normal on paper matrix because again they're wanting more and they're wanting to expand, I say, the vessel of who they are.
Yeah. It's very difficult though, me myself being a mindset mentor, sometimes I have clients that they say they want to change, and then just after a few months, I notice that they don't really want to change. It takes a big leap of faith to have to believe in yourself, and sometimes that's too much for a person, unfortunately. And another aspect of like what I experienced, I guess, during the years when I was really tapping into downloads, was that I was the type of person that I wanted to let the world know what's up. Like, this is what's going on. This is Great Awakening and this conspiracy and that one. And I would just be the crazy one. And then I realized that it's just not their time to wake up. And so I would feel like rejected for so long that it actually led me to go through a longer path of realizing, my truth, right? Because I didn't want to live in my truth. Because every time I shared my truth, I was the crazy one.
Yeah. Well, I think the question is, though, do I want to live with this fear? And again, play small in my own mind, my own experience, or do I want to run through the fear? And again, I say it's like choose your hard now, easier later, or easy now, hard later. And I think that we all have a choice
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. And you bring, I guess, to know a little bit about your work. So what exactly do you do? So you bring people in, and because you had mentioned, I believe the dancing aspect, right? So I guess we'll start there. So what can we find within ourselves in body movement?
Embodiment. Oh, so more into the somatic,
Yeah,
is what you're
somatic. Like,
asking.
what is that? What is that about? What is that exactly?
Yeah. So, and again, this has continued to transpire in my own journey, but I think the movement piece, again, if are you wanting from my own experience or how I bring that in for people?
I guess both, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I guess it's right. Good question. So it started because again, that was a place where I was really able to see how free and clear I was when I got back into dance and when I was moving my body. Because again, it got me into my presence, right? Presence is your power. And then from there, as I continued to learn about the mind, and get more free and clear in there. Now in my journey, it's like, oh, dancing is and moving my body is a bonus in my life, not a survival tool to feel more free and clear. And I think that that was kind of the starting of my deeper awakening, because when I, again, like for example, couldn't sit still to meditate, but I could kind of start moving, dancing, and make that a meditation. I think everything can be a meditation. And so that was kind of I would say, as I'm speaking with you, the access point for me personally on my journey that brought me more home to me. And then realizing that was just a invitation, but the way that I go about things is that everything starts in the mind, because there was so many reasons why I felt like I couldn't be still. Again, at the subconscious level, which is why my work first and foremost is always going to be starting in the mind. I'd be going to dance classes, and that's how it all really started. Is I would hear and pick up on energies of women that I was in the classes with about all their subconscious stuff and programming, the people pleasing, the shame, the guilt, the worry, the anxiety, the fear, the I'm not good enough, the fear of judgment. And I'm like, I'm just here to dance, like, and have fun. And I was confused. And that confusion led me to going, wait, there's something more here for people to experience, that they can come, for example, to a dance class and just enjoy moving their body without all the different narratives and stories happening in their mind during that class. And that's where it all started.
Do you hold a physical dance class?
So that's where it started, where I did this class called Abundance. And at first, again, it was like, I thought that it was like, okay, it's a dance class, but we're going to start doing the mind stuff with it. And really, because again, I was like, I want you to leave this space, not just being like, okay, back next week. And I still feel shitty when I leave here and back to the shit of my life. I'm like, I want you to feel like, again, your vessel's expanded and you're more awakened to who you really are before the world told you who to be, as you leave this space. And so I started there. And of course, again, as I continue to grow in subconscious rewiring and embodiment in my own journey, the class grew. And then there was a point where a lot of the dance stuff started falling off, because it was really like, once you're free and clear in your mind, again, the movement started becoming more of the bonus versus the attention versus the actual experience. And so now when I do it less often, but now it's an activation, and we don't go into the dance until the end, but after we've really tapped into deeper mind, because that's where your freedom really lies. The dance stuff is just, again, or even the body. the body's just responding to the mind. So if we started it with the body, or if we only did the body, we're missing the whole, it's like kind of like, it's at a dinner, like we're missing the whole main entree here.
Yeah, do you feel that the body movement is a way for us to release any blockages?
Again, the way that I look at it is it can help, again, the bonus energy of, so when I work with people, I'm very intuitive. And there are times where it's like we've done the mind shift. And yes, I do think it's like, you say it's like, cleaning off the last of the, water that's spilt on the sink, and it's like, yeah, it's there, but yeah, let's take a paper towel and wipe it up. It's gonna be a little bit better than you seeing a little spillage on your countertop. And so we get to just wipe that off. And I do think that movement provides that extra kind of, if you see a duck in water, right? They're gliding through water. They're very peaceful, easeful, present. And then every once in a while they get some water on them, and then all they're doing is they're shaking it off, right? They're shaking off their shit. And then they're flowing again. And so I do think that even if you look at animals, like they're moving beings. I think our movement is very powerful to continue to move energy. Energy is always moving, and so I think that that's where I was like, let's do a full activation in mind and body with this stuff. Why not? And that's what I was when I was deeply, training in subconscious programming. That was what clicked of why are we not also bringing in the body, because it can be even just more of, again, that bonus energy experience that, let's just, yeah, move it through in that way. But again, like I said, it's always for me going to start with the mind first, because then I think we're missing something so much deeper.
So your bread and butter is, I guess, of your program is not the actual body movement. It's just kind of something on the top after you speak with them and kind of see how you can start shifting their mindset, right?
Yeah, so I mean, depending on, again, what someone, again, I'm intuitive about it. So someone might come and say, I really want a lot of the body stuff. And again, I'm going to meet you where you're at, and I'm going to do things. And a program that I have has the somatic dance involved in it, because I think that's an aspect that really taps into your power, into your play. And again, I think just as you continue to throw out different things, see what works for you. Because again, someone's going to be like, the movement's actually really activating me even better, and some people are going to say, some people kind of be like, I don't want any of the movement. I just want the mind stuff. So I think, again, no pun intended, it's a dance. It's a dance of what, because again, for me in my journey, the dance part of it was huge. Um, and realizing, like, the mind, though, if I were to continue to ignore that, which, there was a point that I wasn't as much focused on that and more on dance, was not the full kahuna. And so I want that for people. But to answer your question, I think it is also going to be different for everyone. I think that's what we're all missing in this world, is that we have this like cookie cutter, like, follow this way, do this thing. I mean, think about even like a medication for someone, right? It's going to have certain side effects for someone, not for others. It's going to be beneficial for some, not for others. Our medication is even beneficial. I mean, we can have all these questions, but like, I'm really about getting individualized for people, because again, let's find what really works for you, and we get to listen to
S-
your soul of what that is.
So when you first started on this journey, you were more of working with the subconscious mind and the mindset shift, and then you integrated the movement into it?
Kind of the opposite. I mean, again, because it was through my journey, dance is what kind of, started to really have me see, oh, I can be free and clear when I dance, and then let's continue to get your mind free and clear. So kind of the opposite, where, I had the understanding of dance growing up, and then I got really serious, and I stopped dancing, and then when I was, I think, in this next awakening, got back into dance. At the same time, I was learning about the deeper mind, subconscious reprogramming. And then again, as I was doing that, both together kind of merged of, let's do this thing together. And then now, as it's grown, again, my belief has been it starts in the mind, and then we can move through body. Whereas you're going to hear some people say it starts in the body and then goes to the mind. And I think we all get to decide that, and yeah, what we believe. But I just believe, again, it goes from mind to body.
So you started dancing as a child, like professionally?
Yes. I mean, I was very, very active in a lot of different movement practices. But dance was one that, I had stayed with for probably the longest time. But again, I was doing it from a sense of love. Like, I remember at one point I did it competitively, and I hated it. Because because again, I think it always was my play. It always was my presence. It was just for fun. It was just to enjoy this experience, this body, this, and that's what I realized, like, oh, not everyone is seeing it that way. Um, that really
I
reminded
can
me of my playfulness.
I can definitely resonate with the playfulness of it, and when you're not being playful, it's no longer fun. When I
Hmm.
first decided to leave the corporate world, I thought about, okay, what are the things that I love to do and I would love to hopefully monetize? And so I love woodworking and carpentry, right? So I
Hmm.
started doing that. And then I
Hmm.
realized when I started charging and I had to do something for a client that I actually hated it. And you know what? Ever since that journey, I literally have pending wood that's just been waiting in my garage for me to get back to it. But I can't find that love for it anymore because I somehow tainted it with the thought of creating a business from it.
Yes. And I think that there are going to be things that, again, it's so, again, we're mirrors. Again, we are part of this really fun simulation of it, because it's, I think with dance, although I love it so much, because that's what also was shifting my life was, I was going to like all these dance classes. I think too, right? My soul was craving it, because it hadn't done it for a while. And then it was like all these classes, go, 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 go. And now I mean, I don't remember the last time I actually went to a class, because at a soul level, I'm just not interested, because now it's like I can dance anytime I want when I'm home, and it's kind of my own embodiment practice. I don't feel the desire to go and actually be in a classroom doing it right now, because even too, I started getting more into freestyle than like wanting to be choreographed, which I also I will bring into my activations, where people really don't like the freestyle. I'm like, you don't like feeling free? What do you mean? But again, we're conditioned programmed. Well, I want to be able to get it right. And again, there's a perfectionism. I want to be able to follow rules that we learned in school. And so I'm saying all this because, at this point, right, in the game, it's like I really want deep transformation for people. And if I believe it starts in the mind, if I just did a dance class, if I just, it wouldn't be what my soul's really here to do. And I think with you too, it's like you can still enjoy woodworking and maybe do it on your own time and experience. But I think you know, you're here to do something bigger than that. And so then, of course, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, this doesn't feel as aligned as an old dead version of me did. Just like how for me, dancing was a starting point, but it's kind of also dying off because there's something bigger here for me to do. And that was some ego deaths, because it was like, oh, I'm known to be that dancing soul. I'm known to, which I always will be. But people will be like, oh, how's that dancing stuff going? And I'm like, that's dying off. I'm still, you know, dancing in my own being, in my own embodiment. And I tell people to definitely go to it. It's a beautiful tool. But like you, I feel for, it's like, but we're here for things that are bigger than ourselves. And so that was touching the iceberg experience for our awakening.
Yeah, no, I agree. When working with people on the subconscious level, I guess on average, what is the main uh battle that people have mentally?
Fear. That's literally what I
Yeah.
do. I kill your fear, because that is what's happening at a deeper level of your mind. And that's what, when you said, like, I don't think sometimes people like want to do the work. I think that people crave it. I just think they let the fear win. It's like, what wolf do you feed? It's a beautiful, metaphor of this little boy and asking about, his grandfather. Like, I feel like I had these like two wolves inside, and like, which one's gonna win? The grandfather responds with, "It's whatever one you feed."
Yeah. I
So
guess
I
without
get the
giving
deeper
away too
mind.
much sauce,
Yeah.
what I guess what is your first step in regards to I guess would you start with finding out the underlying reason for the fear?
Yeah, I mean, so again, because of, I would say, yes, my training, but also because of my own experience and catching my own bullshit so well, these days. All this, again, the embodiment, the awareness that I have within my own, because I'm always growing in my own mind and being, and so that helps me even serve better to others, right? So the work's never done. But I can, at this point, connect with someone. I can listen to you for a few moments, and I can already pick up on your fear, your stucknesses, just by one energy alone. Yes, by words and what you're saying, how you're saying it, how you're holding yourself. Again, because I have, the embodiment dance background, I can even see, through even just, yeah, how you hold yourself in your body, in your mind. Like, I can basically see through the lines of how you speak, how you hold yourself, what your fears, what your stucknesses are. That's kind of my superpower. And then we can unravel, unleash that in a deeper mind, right? Because if someone just like, oh, well, just stop doing that thing or start doing this thing, And people talk about now why like self-sabotage, and I'm like, it's not really what it is. It's there's just it's fear. It's fear to change. It's fear for your mind to think differently.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's I feel vulnerable because maybe you can read me now.
Yes, I can
You
see
know,
all the things, all the shit, all the fear.
I have, I've interviewed people that individuals that they do hold that certain talent, and but the thing is that like most of them, it seems that it's a tool to be used for others and not on themselves, which is a beautiful thing in itself. But it's like I speak with people who can generate something within someone else, but yet they may be feeling that same thing within themselves that they can't solve. But it's simply because it's part of, I guess, their soul contract, right?
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
in regards to intuition, right? Because a lot of my
Mhm.
listeners, I interact with them on, outside the podcast, and we speak about like tapping into intuition. Do you feel that you are consciously and well, I guess, how do you feel about intuition? Are you able to tap into it
Mm.
and decipher between intuition and just mental trash?
Yeah. Um, Again, I think there's always going to be learning and unlearning. You live in a human experience. And I think that's something, to always remember is that we are a soul living in a human experience, and so giving us ourselves grace of this thing that I say, unlearning. That's what I feel like I'm doing here is unlearning to remember who I really am from all the conditioned programming learning. And so, to answer your question, I think that when intuition is those whispers that if you're quiet enough, there's a reason meditation is so powerful. If people want to go, I'm like, it's the most simple. We make things so complicated and things are so simple. Meditation is one of the most powerful things you can do. And it's literally just like sit there in silence. I mean, that's one form of it, right? But the basic of meditation. And again, think about that's a huge fear for people. And it was in my journey too, because again, it's going, I have to hear all that shit happening in my mind.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, that's the work. What happens when I get really quiet that I'm trying to run away from? And what would happen if I listened to that and let that be awakened?
Do you find yourself utilizing any tools to tap into that inner knowing? For example, I've spoken with people and I've dabbled with it as well, where there are certain things you can do, like the pendulum,
Mm.
numerology, things like that. Do you find yourself tapping into those resources?
I think again, the simpler, the better, because I've also lived a life where I wanted to just like go out of me to figure out all the answers. Because I think that things like astrology and again, I think as your intention, if you're going to these things going, they're going to tell me who I am. I don't find that useful. But if it feels again, when you get quiet and it's telling you, like, hey, look up that thing, or hey, again, it's a very quiet whisper and you feel like it just leads you back to kind of going, and that deeper layer of you, wonderful. But I will tell you, there's a lot of people, and there was a time in my life too, right, that I was going to like, well, go to my astrology, because it was like I couldn't just get comfortable with maybe not knowing, or I couldn't get comfortable with going, it's gonna all work out, or I'm gonna know. The quieter that I got without going outside of me was where that's where the intuition comes. It's from within you. It's not from outside of you what you're learning about. That's our power is the internal. And so again, I think that for anyone to say, this is not useful, that's not useful, it's all just like again, dance is useful for me, it may not be for somebody else, but I'm not going, I need dance in order to be okay. I think that's where we got to catch ourselves, we get to is going, well, if I didn't have astrology I wouldn't be okay, or I wouldn't be able to tap in my intuition. I don't think that's true. I think that we could tap in our intuition literally by just being with ourselves, in our power, in our presence, and that alone.
Yeah, tapping into that flow state, and your flow state is that flow of dancing, right?
Exactly, exactly. Well, but
Yeah.
and now my presence, and even too if I meditate, which again, dancing was that when I couldn't do that. Again, it was the access point of like maybe we're not ready yet for. So again, we got to meet ourselves where we're at. Maybe not yet. That version of Mariel could like not sit still. It was too. Again, all my conditioned programming's fear in the mind. It was too scary. Dance was that access point where now it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be. And I want that for people. I can go dance, but I don't need that in order to tap in. It's
Yeah.
like someone with an
So,
addiction. I don't need a cigarette to feel okay, right?
yeah. You were speaking about like being in the meditative state. Did you mean that more literal? I know you mentioned it earlier how, you may find yourself actually in the meditative state while dancing, but do you take time out to actually sit and meditate?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I embody what I do. I feel like there's things if I'm with me, that is one of my highest values is that I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I think there's a lot of people out there that are, coaching and that are, but they're not doing the work. And I think that's a hindrance. Like, if anything, you need to like take off a year and figure out who the heck you are and what you're here to do, and then come back and then be of service. Do it. You got to start with you. I mean, even think about monks, right? They go and they're doing all these things, and then they go back out into the world. It's a very powerful place to be. So yeah, if I'm sharing these things, it's because I'm doing them. I'm catching my own stuff of if I'm saying I'm killing your fear, and I'm going and I'm just living in mine. Um, that's not authentic. That's not me being in soul, tapped and turned on. So yeah, I mean, even just seeing these versions of me now, where I can sit, lay, meditate, and thinking about those old versions that again love so dearly, but couldn't even do that for a minute. It's absolutely a part of my practice to get really quiet, to be in silence often. Um, because I know I'm also not just serving myself and my soul doing that, but I'm serving others with what's coming in with that energy.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm looking here at the courses and offers that you had provided in the PDF, and I see here
Yeah.
energy program. Is that something that we already touched on?
Yeah, so that is a, plug and play on your own time. And I love to do the individual work so we really get to the root. I can really hear again right here, sense your energy, see the things. But I like to also meet people where they're at. And some people are like, not, either not ready for that or their lifestyle just doesn't work for that yet. And that is where I say it's a mind and body massage where you listen to audios that are subconscious reprogramming. And then also you're getting those embodiment pieces, you're getting activations through music, through sound, through, again, understanding how to move the body, to move energy through after you've listened to the mind shifting. So it's kind of, I say it is my abundance class that I was teaching with the mind and body activation. I say it's like that on crack because again, you're getting this full program that you can do at your own time. So that is also an offering that I give to clients when they're working with me one-on-one. They get access to that as well. But also it is a point if people are like, I'm curious about this, but not ready to jump into that one-on-one work.
What would allow you to make the decision that they're not yet ready for that specific thing within your program?
Yeah. Again, I'm all about we get on a call and we see what's showing up. And then like what you had said is someone ready to do the work? Right? Are
Yeah.
they really ready? And just to get, I always say, make the decision out of love, not fear. And that's a really hard thing to do because sometimes it's also going, well, I think that my fear is love. It's a very tricky thing. So I like to get people, I don't come from pressure. I like to get people really clear on what is the love answer for you. And we can't decide that
Yeah.
for people. They get to.
No, not at all. But also, the work that you and I are doing with shifting mindsets, I think that it's bringing them at least one step closer to finding their chosen purpose, right? We're not born here. I don't believe we're at least born with a purpose. I think that we choose a purpose based on what we what our talent is, what our God-given gift is.
Mm,
But yeah, I can certainly see the benefit in what you're doing in regards to taking it slow with a client. So I can definitely admire that, workflow where it's not a structure that you have and this is what's going to fit because there are coaches that they just have an outline and they follow that outline and you either sink or swim because this is what works for the majority. So
yeah.
I can definitely admire the I guess the tailor-made experience where if you have something that you can offer but you don't offer simply for the betterment overall of their growth. So that's beautiful.
And again,
You,
right. And again, that's it's my own journey too, realizing like that was part of it too, is I kind of was sick and tired of like there's these programs that, not saying that they can't be beneficial, and again, where we are in our journey, but the biggest shifts for me, again, I think that we lack this deep connection of feeling really heard and seen by someone and being able to really get to something. It's working smarter than harder. And it's really like, just I value people's time and energy. And that's why, again, I love the subconscious work because it's so much more quicker, efficient, and effective than any therapies that I've done in my life, where it was like band-aids and in and out of therapies for years. And I was like, I got to, again, the soul level question came to, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a more efficient, effective way that I can feel more free and clear and just go live my life than be in therapy my whole life. And that's where, again, that really was also a big starting point for me. I asked the
Yeah, yeah.
questions.
Like we said, we're mirrors, right? So I can definitely relate to that 100% in my own way. You know,
Yeah. And
you
again,
you also you also have some freebies that I see here, and one that kind of caught my eye was the 3-day moving meditation experience. Is that like I guess I'll let you explain. So what is that exactly?
yeah, yeah. So again, it is. It's a moving meditation because right, that was the access point for me. And so you get to move. There's going to be some mind stuff there, but it is something that you can experience of what it's like to kind of release some energy through the body, but also again opening up your vessel for more. We got to get the body and mind open for that. People think that it's like, why am I not bring this in? And it's kind of the idea of, if you let's say your mind and body is like a little shot glass and you're like, I want this thing and more, it can't give you more water than what it can put into the little shot glass. So we want to expand our vessel and make it a bigger cup or bowl, or I mean whatever you want to make it into. And so that 3-day experience is going to open up those things in mind and body, and just get the things flowing, get you more into your flow. And you're going to see, the work that I do, it's not just like your mind opening, it's your whole reality changing. You're rewiring your reality because what your mind's going to attach to, you're going to start seeing. If you've ever witnessed like, oh, I'm wanting a blue car, and then you start seeing all these blue cars on the street. Your mind's, what you pay attention to grows. So if you're paying attention to your expansion, your awakening, you're going to see these things. You're going to see, yeah, intuition's going to show you things, right? The world's going to show you things. And if you keep avoiding the things, you're not going to see the things. So we get to decide what we want to see.
And with that 3-day experience, is it something live with you or is it something pre-recorded?
Yeah, it's something pre-recorded, and it's in a yeah in a container where you can do it again at your own time and space, and just play around with it. Again, it's an access point, something for you to kind of notice again, especially if you're more wanting to understand this moving meditation. That's where you're at, and then see some of the mind stuff as well. I mean, again, it's an activation, and it's a mind body activation. I will not skip the mind ever with what I do, what I be. But yeah, it's a beautiful experience just to kind of tap into something maybe different, something new. I think that's always, I always say, you can try something once, and in the worst case scenario, you go, yeah, didn't like that, didn't work for me, and then move on. And now you have more information, more data to get you closer to what is useful for you.
Yeah, it's a great funnel to have for a business as well, especially someone in your position where you're just starting out. I'm assuming you're just starting out, right?
I mean, I say been a soul journey, but and it's always been evolving. But I think this has been my whole life's work. So
Yeah. No, it's important to, provide that funnel of something that they can, I guess, no cost, check out your work and kind of bring them in. That's something that I'm working with now, just constructing something free to the world so that it can be just something that I provide for free out there, my art.
yeah,
I guess that's kind of what I'm doing now with my podcast, right? I'm just doing the podcast from the love, right? And just kind of putting it out there.
mhm.
And you also have a couple of podcasts, right?
Well, currently, I mean, we're shifting some things, but I do have one. It hasn't really been. Again, I've shifted a lot of things in my own reality, so things are changing in that regard, and exciting things are continuing to grow and come. But I will tell you too. I think that there is so much stuff out there, and even freebies, and I do think though to invest in you, to pay attention. I will tell you that again, if you are like ready for results, true deep down results, it's again moving through the fear. I can't even tell you how many free things I had done because again, that was my fear at one point is like to pay for things, right? It was like, oh, just find all the free stuff. And how much of that was actually useful versus, and again, it was all part of the awakening. But it's like this game. We get to decide, what am I here for? Do I want to work smarter or harder? And I can just do all the different free stuff. Or if I really am having some of these things, I want to like rip and go and jump to the fire. What am I willing to invest? I mean, us both being in mindset, your mind is the most powerful luxury thing that you own. How do you want to treat it? Do you want to treat all these freebie things, or do you want to actually move shit through and be done with things and be in your power? So what are you
Yeah,
really ready for?
it's something that I'm currently working through, right? Because it has several different facets to it, and like I can look at it from several different perspectives as well. Because when I set out to create this business, I had the opportunity to join like a group mentorship from someone that that I admire,
Mhm,
that has grown, that I've seen them
mhm.
grow, and one of their main things that they taught was providing something of value for free as a funnel for business, right? And so
Yes.
I'm kind of just trying to use that to to create what I'm creating and put it out there as just free art, as I said earlier.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
problem that I find is that I'm putting a lot of energy into this. Like this is something legit, right?
Yep.
I'm not gonna just put out some bullshit because it's gonna be free, right? So,
Yep.
whether it's free or not, I still it still has my touch. So I have to put my own little, perfectionism to it in my own sense. So I don't really know what route to take. You've been there before. You said that you've put out free stuff before. My
Yeah.
view on
Yeah.
it right now is that the amount of energy that I'm taking throughout my days to compose what I'm composing, I my goal is to put it out, and a thought that I had was to put it out as a pay what you can, right? That way that there is some kind of energy exchange. I'm sure many won't pay, but at least there's something there, right? I get some value for what I put out. But also there's this sense of how frequency of money works, right? The energetics of it all before,
Yep.
like the currency. And so if I'm not valuing my product because I simply want to put it out there for free, is that also giving off a certain energy to the world, like my
Yeah.
own mirror, where I'm not
Yeah.
valuing my work? And also it digs into the fact that am I doing this free of charge or pay as you can because I don't believe that I'll be successful if I was to charge for it?
Yeah. Well, again, and this is so beautiful because, this is the work that I do, what you're bringing up. And again, yeah, what I was sensing, which, again, you're like, can you read me? I was like, yeah. um, it's, we get to decide this reality because here's also the thing is talk about, with what I talked about earlier, there's so much information, which I call inflammation out there because if you really look at this, if we really look at this in business, we're having the business lens right now, that you're seeing everyone do it every which way. And so when someone's saying this is the way, like when you really start seeing these things, when someone's saying this is the way, I mean, if you've heard me speaking, I'm never saying this is the way for everyone. I'm saying this has been my way and what's made sense when I've gotten quiet. Because again, there are people that are very successful, quote unquote, that have freebies doing great. And there are people that are, stuck with like, I'm doing freebies and no one's like, listen. I think one, it's all intentions, all energy behind it. But I think, again, what we're missing is getting quiet and going, what do you desire? Do you want to be doing freebies? Do you want to be doing a pay as you can? Do you want to be, what's lighting your soul up beyond from the place of love, not fear and not lack energy, right? So for you, it'd be the question of like, is it because I'm feeling lack or I'm feeling like a fear of judgment or I'm not enough to receive or I mean, that's the work that I do. Let's get to the root of what's going on there because then you're going to find the clarity that you're really desiring and what you're actually wanting to do in your business versus like, well, Joe Schmo's doing this and so's doing this and all the noise that there is endless possibilities of how you could do it. What do you actually desire at a soul level? What do you want to do? If there's no rules to the rule book.
Well, I guess the a couple of perspectives that I have is I guess I would want something in exchange for the energy that I'm pouring into it, right? So, of course, I'm helping those that are going to be reading it, and I'm so grateful that they're reading my work because
Yeah.
it is a compilation of things that I have gathered, that I have experienced, and that I utilize daily, just like you said yourself, right? So
Yep.
I want there to be some kind of exchange. So, but also there is, I guess, a sense of lack behind it. Now, if I don't make a dime off of this work, that's fine. I'll be fine, right? It's no big deal. But I think that speaking with several people in regards to how to address marketing yourself and valuing yourself. I've had different perspectives, right? So I spoken to a lady. I actually had her on one of my podcast episodes that she's giving her services away for free for an entire year, That's what she's called to do, right? That is her
Mm-hmm.
mission here, is to put
Mm-hmm.
out, to lay out the foundation for a new economy, right? Where it's a service-based economy and not based on money. So I honor that,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard her out, and that's what kind of gave me the idea where I was like, maybe I can do like I can just give it out, or like a pay what you can kind of thing, right? Because of course I also want to create the bridges for abundance, right? We can't just allow God to just Houdini hit its way into our life. There's a beauty in creating the bridge to allow the abundance to flow in through that bridge. So I have that perspective. But then I also spoke with a lady on another podcast who indicated that the way she looks at things is that you always have to value. Like, for example, I have a couple of clients that I've been working with for a very long time now, and I don't charge them because they were like my first guinea pigs, right? So like when I first started with them, the deal was, hey, I'm gonna help you, you're gonna help me. I'm gonna provide you my services, and you're gonna, in return, your service is gonna be me being able to work on you, seeing how I can, schedule things and what I can work with people on. But I'm at the point now where in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe I should be charging you because I mean, you are taking up a good amount of time on my week, 2 hours a week kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
is that coming from a place of lack or wanting to place value on myself? That's the tricky situation.
Yeah. And again, if you get quiet, and even too, again, perfect example of this woman, which it sounds like, I mean, I don't know, but it seems to me, maybe, she got quiet and that came through her to do. And then now she has made peace with that. She's made intention around that. It feels an alignment to her because the last thing that we want to do is do something and then feel bitter, feel resentful, feel, like it wasn't actually true to us. And that's why it's like, we have the answers inside. No one outside of us does. We've been taught all wrong about how other people know better than really our deeper selves. And that's why, again, I love to just go with like, what is happening in your mind, that is blocking you from the clarity that's going to flow. I mean, already see for you. It's going to flow through you of what is next for you to do. Just like that woman, it came very clear to her the next year. I mean, again, she got clear on that. That was not for you to, that was not a message for you. That was a message for her. And as humans, we can get stuck on like, oh, well, if that was a message for her, is it a message for me? And that's all the noise. That's not intuition. If we go back to intuition, it was a starting point for you of like, oh, she got clarity. I intend and see clarity's coming to me. But mind will attach to, maybe that's what I'm supposed to do because she's doing that. Do you see?
Yeah.
It's going, oh, it's my reality is showing me, again, the simulation is showing me, oh, clarity's coming because someone in my simulation is showing me their clarity on their next direction in business. But also you can, again, we can guide ourselves back home and get really quiet and notice beyond the noise. Because even notice what's that bringing up in you of why is my mind so entertained with what other people are doing? What's going to be the next thing? Because again, I did those things too. Pay what you can, free, and I got to trial error. That's part of my journey too, and learning like, yeah, I mean sometimes it is just doing the thing and learning from there too of how it's going, or moving to the fear and just doing something differently and seeing what's happening. Again, is it from that fear or from that love?
Yeah. Well, it's also experimentation, right? But it definitely
Mm-hmm.
is, there is some sort of, I guess, fear that I haven't tapped into, right? For me to make
Yeah,
a decision. But
absolutely.
also, I guess, the reason that I was swayed when I spoke to the lady who was giving away her services is because she did mention about a potential timeline where we do live in a service-based economy, right? That there
Yeah,
are other species that have a service-based economy. And I got goosebumps, right? I was like, that is
yeah,
beautiful. I would
yeah,
like to take part in that. But as soon as that entered my mind, then something underlining came through where I was like, I don't know if I align with this, but I kind of want to see if I can keep going with it, to see if I can
yeah,
just be part of that reality where we can be of service. I'm going to go ahead and provide this to you. And in return, just you reading it will feed me, but that also doesn't feed my wallet, you know?
yeah. You get to dance with this thing, and you again we can get to real root of it because we can dance on the surface of it all day long, which is what people do. Right? They exhaust themselves with all the mind chatter. It's like let's get to the root of this thing, and then once that weed is pulled out, you will see the freedom and the clarity that comes again from the fear to the freedom of what's actually here for you to do. Because you're saying like, oh, what's where we're headed. I mean, that's what we're headed back to. This is not new. None of this stuff is new. Even the mindset. There were these people back in the day, legends of people that I learned from. They were doing this before, even manifestation, all that stuff was like a cool thing. Like this was a thing. These things are not new concepts. We're just new channels for them. And so even that whole way of living service based, that's what was happening before the actual physical money was created. So it's not new. It's a remembrance, it's a returning back to. So yes, we absolutely are headed there. I believe that. But it does not mean that we have to jump on it now. It does not mean that, like, because again, yeah, you get to see of like, I live in again, we are a soul living in a human experience, and I do believe we're always provided for, but also again, there's 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 no wrong or right. And again, we're seeing people doing it all differently. This is a free service. This is a $5 million service. You're seeing all the possibilities. It's not about I see him doing this or doing that. It's going, I just see you going, this feels really like I have my own goosebumps because this thing that came through me is what I'm here to do next.
Yeah, I
That's what
could
I
agree
intend
with
for
that.
you.
Yeah, I appreciate that too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Would there be anything else you'd like to bring up? Anything that maybe I didn't touch on? I don't think that I was able to really get a summary of all that you do within your business and all your services. Is there anything that when we get to the episode itself that we can touch on?
I mean, I feel like we've done, a lot of things here, even it's like an episode itself of just, I mean, again,
I did feel that though when we were going through, I was like, wow, this is good content.
I'm like, I mean, and again, actually, I honestly, like, even in saying this right now, I think that this should be the episode. Even as I'm saying, I'm like, someone's going to hear me say this, but this is the thing of this is connection, and this is real, authentic people connecting, and that it doesn't have to be, I'll get people, that want to be on have me on podcasts. They're like, let's go through things, let's talk things out. I'm all about the flow. I'm like, let's just do it, and let's see what comes through us to bring. And it's funny, as we were speaking, I was like, I already feel in my whole being, there is at least a few people that are going to be hearing this or supposed to be hearing this conversation itself that's going to awaken them. And so I actually believe that this should be the episode because it's showing an authentic connection of something that things came through both of us to share that is meant to be heard by somebody. And it doesn't have to be, again, complicated. It can be a simple conversation that awakens people and activates people. And I think even our dialogue around your business stuff and choices, I mean, how many people are going through that right now? And so I intended that being something really useful for people to really sit with and get quiet with what's my soul craving right now to do beyond what other people are saying or doing themselves. I really do think that getting in the moment and just going with it, and even this conversation, I'm like, yeah, it's about an hour conversation, and this feels like the podcast, and maybe it's supposed to be like, maybe we don't have to make it that much more complicated, and life gets to be really fun and present and in the flow when we just release the expectations of what something's supposed to be. The magic's
I
there in the moment.
No, definitely. Typically these conversations take place just to create a framework of things that can possibly discuss, but we did get deep. We took deep dives, and
Yeah.
I will sit and resonate with the idea of just making this the podcast. So that is awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate your insight and providing me your perspective on whatever I have going on in the background, and I think that you provided me with a lot of value. So I really honor that. Thank you very much.
that's my intention to, again, even to going on podcasts or speaking with people. If I'm leaving that space and I have not activated something in who I'm speaking with and those that listen, I haven't done my soul job because again, there's a lot of fluff out there, and I'm just, and again, even to what I love about this conversation is it was so raw. Even to you were being vulnerable, I was sharing things of vulnerable, and the people are so sick and tired of celebrities and just the way things have been of this, again, putting on these facades. People want authenticity, people want realness, people want raw. And that's what this conversation was. And I think people are so craving that. And that's, again, that's why, like, it's so funny you brought that up, because I was like, I think this is the bread and butter of what people are here to to awaken their own real and rawness in these kinds of conversations. So I thank you for holding the space for it, whatever we decide to do with it. But it was a really powerful conversation, and that's because of your love and light in this world to create this space um, for people to remember who they are.
Yeah, I can certainly resonate with that. So I guess we'll leave it there. I believe
Yeah,
that we may
beautiful.
just have our podcast episode. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
ahead and well, if there's anything else you need from me, just go ahead and let me know. Send me an email. If not, I will be in contact with you shortly so we can proceed. All right?
sounds great.
Mariel, it was a
Yeah,
pleasure.
thanks for
Oh,
having me.
before I let you go, just
Yes.
in case I didn't go over where people can reach out to you, where can people find
Yes.
your work?
Yeah, yeah. The best thing you can do is I always love to give the invitation to message me on Instagram, shift your shit with Mariel and Mariel. And yeah, just saying, I always love hearing like what was a takeaway, what was a ha, maybe I went and sat silently for 5 minutes and this came through to me. I really do love connecting. I'm here to connect at soul levels with people. And I always invite too, what's the fear of you not reaching out? Because a lot of people won't, it's going, oh, why am I, I'm not, I don't want to take up space. She doesn't actually want to hear from me, like all that chatter. So I always say, reach out, take up space, move through your fear of even doing that. And then too, they can also message me at mindfulnesswithmariel@gmail.com if they want to do, more of that access point through email.
Definitely, I'll add that information in the video description. So I guess we'll leave it
Beautiful.
there. Very cool
Beautiful. Thank
experience
you
I
so
had.
much. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm
we'll
so
touch base
grateful for this
soon.
conversation. Sounds
I'll
great.
keep an eye on you, see what you got going on.
You got it. You got it. Same.
All right.
All right. Bye
Bye.
bye.